Good morning to you all once again. Now we are going to discuss on compute verb. So in COBOL, this particular verb which seems to be a very important one. So already we have discussed some various arithmetic verbs. The arithmetic verbs like add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So all those four verbs which seems to be a very important one. And using those things, we would be able to perform arithmetic operations. So to perform some simple arithmetic operations, we would use those arithmetic verbs: add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And then you people have to keep it in mind that those arithmetic verbs, along with those arithmetic verbs, we used to use some other additional classes like into, and then to, and then by, and then using. So those options are very important. So you must know as how you have to use those to, and then from, and then into option, and then by option, and then giving option. So all those things are seems to be an important one based on how you are going to use it. So normally we, along with that, we used to use to. Okay, along with that we used to use to, and along with subtract we used to use from. So subtracting one value from another value, that's we are using from. And then adding one value to another value, that's why we are adding what, to with add. Similarly from with subtract. And then multiplying one value by another value. Okay, so we used to use by with multiply. And then in divide we used to use two options. We used to use both by and also into. Okay, dividing one value with another by another value, or else dividing one value with another value. So for that we used to use into. So along with divide we used to two additional clauses, into and then by. Okay, and then with all these things, add, subtract, multiply, and divide, we used to use the giving as an option to store the results. So those things are very important, so kindly make a note of all those things. Okay, and then we have discussed some various examples related with those things. So with those examples, you people would get some clear idea as how those verbs it used to work. And finally now we are coming into new subtopic which is going to be about compute verb. Okay, so so roll number 4 present. Okay, I have marked roll number 4 as present. And then coming back, so compute verb, which is an very important verb. And then here we are describing, this is going to be a powerful one to do some computations. This is going to be very helpful to us. So instead of using all those arithmetic verbs separately, suppose we have to work in an coordinated fashion, or we have to work in an integrated way, we are going to use this compute verb. So in the same using single compute verb, we would be able to perform more number of operations in a single statement. So which is going to be like um, uh, integrating all those operands and operators within a single statement, and we are going to store the results to a particular identifier. Okay, so that's what they are mentioning over here. So all the computations performed by four other verbs could be done using this what, compute verb. And then you have some general format as compute, identifier 1, rounded in the sense rounding the value. Suppose if it's going to be a float value, to make to round it, we are using this rounded option. On size error, which is going to be an imperative statement. So suppose if there is going to be error in the size value that you're going to use, it used to give some error report over there. Okay, and then so here, along with compute verb, the important sign that we're going to use here is equal sign. So this is going to be an important sign. So this particular sign, which is used to evaluate things, or to compute things, we used to use this particular this particular option. Okay, so Muthu, are you there?
Sir, he left, sir.
Is there any problem? Okay,
Sir,
Is it possible, some of you to present that PPT, ma? I, arithmetic verb, that particular PPT. So in that you have to open the compute verb. Without, I think there may be some problem for him. Arithmetic verb, open arithmetic verb, ma. So Muthu has joined again. So open that compute verb slide, ma. That particular slide, compute verb. Okay. So coming back, so we have what equal sign. So that using that particular equal sign, we would be able to evaluate that particular expression. So this is going to be an important sign for evaluating the operands and the operators present in that particular expression. So equal sign which has been evaluated, and the value whatever they are going to calculate will be moved to the identifier which presents to the left of that particular equal to sign. So to the right of equal to, we are going to evaluate, and the result will be assigned to the identifier which present to the left of equal to. Okay. So that's the thing that they are describing over here. So you will have some arithmetic expression. So arithmetic expression in the sense, combinations of both operators and operands to the right of equal to sign. So those combinations of operators and operands we used to call it as an arithmetic expressions basically. So you will have some identifier, and those identifier will have some values. Using those values, we used to perform some calculations over there. Okay. Move to next slide. So while using compute verb, we have some rules that to be followed. So these are some of the rules that they are mentioning over here. The first rule is, so arithmetic expression which specifies a computation, it must consist of some two or more numeric literals or data names joined by arithmetic operators. So this is going to be the first rule. So you must have one or more numeric literals, or literals in the sense a constant value whatever that you're going to use over here, or else one or more data names. Data names here refers to the identifiers whatever that you're going to use. Those identifiers we used to call it as in data names. So you have these combinations, the operators are numeric literals or data names. And then here they are listing out some various operators like exponentiation. You have to use those two symbols, two asterisk symbols for exponentiation, and for division you have to use the slash symbol, and for multiplication asterisk, single asterisk, and for subtraction you have to use minus, and for addition you have to use the plus symbol. So these are the various operators that you people could use along with your arithmetic expression. And then this is very very important rule. So whenever that you're going to mention the operators and operands, between the operators and operands you must leave the space. Okay. So between operators and operands, in a particular expression you have to leave a single space. So differentiate it, actually to differentiate the operands and operators we are using that particular spaces. Okay. So that's the thing. And then sometimes we used to use parentheses. The purpose of parentheses is to give importance to a particular calculations in that particular expressions. We used to use parentheses. So sometimes you will have some nested parentheses. So always we used to give importance to the innermost parenthesis expression, and then the control comes back to the outermost parenthesis. So sometimes we used to use parenthesis to specify the order of operations. So in which order that you have to evaluate the expression. So to specify the order of operation, we used to use parenthesis along with your arithmetic expressions. Okay. Okay. And sometimes along with the operands we used to specify some unary minus. So to normally to indicate a negative value, we used to use the minus symbol preceding a particular identifier. So we used to call it as an unary minus. Unary plus operator, those operator normally we won't use, but to denote a particular identifier which is going to be a negative identifier, we used to use the unary minus symbol in some of the arithmetic expressions. Okay. Move to the next slide, ma. And we have examples over here. So first we discussed about the introduction to the compute verb. Next we have some rules that to be followed for compute verb, and then here we have some examples here. So the examples are: the first one, rate into quantity minus discount. This is going to be the first example. So in this first example, between rate and the asterisk you must have a space, and between asterisk and quantity you must have a space. Between quantity and minus you must leave a space. Between minus and discount you must leave a space. So between the operators and operands, here the operands in the sense the identifier names or data names, whatever that you're going to use. So between those things you must leave a single space. Okay. um, and then so sometimes we used to have a single identifier name to the right of equal to in some compute verb. So which used to work like what, assigning a particular value to one particular identifier. Okay. And then here they have mentioned it as which used to works like similar to the move statement. So normally, for example, if a equal to 0, we are going to check some condition. Here we are assigning the value of 0 to a, and then here we are checking whether the value of a which is equal to 0 or not. Similarly, suppose for example, um, c equal to 2, here which refers we are assigning the value 2 to the identifier what, c. Okay. So here which is similar to moving the value 2 to the identifier c. So that's the thing. So sometimes we used to have a single identifier to the right of compute verb to the right of equal to. So at those times this particular expression which used to work like assigning a value or moving a particular value to a particular identifier, a single identifier or single method. Okay. So you have some examples, some more examples here. So compute a equal to b plus c. So we are going to add the value of b plus c and then assigning it to what, a, and which is similar to the adverb add bc giving a, which is similar to adverb. And then you have one more example, compute e equal to f equal to 1.8 asterisk c plus 32. So this is for to calculate the Fahrenheit value. They are using this particular expression to calculate the conversion of Celsius to Fahrenheit. For conversion purposes, we are using this particular compute f equal to 1.8 into c stands for actually Celsius value plus 32. So after calculating or evaluating this particular expression, so 1.8 into some Celsius value plus 32, the resultant value will be stored in f. Okay. So this value of expression on the right hand side is evaluated, and this value is then moved to capital F. So after the evaluation process, the results will be moved to capital F. So that's the thing. So and depends upon the identifier and then depends upon the picture class whatever that you're going to use, corresponding results will be stored in the identifier capital F. Okay. So these are some of the examples as how we have to use compute verb. um, So that's the thing. So here the various important points related to compute verb are the compute verb which is used to integrate or to coordinate the operators and operands in a single expression. Okay, and then we have some rules that to be followed while using this compute verb. The first rule, which is going to be leaving spaces between operators and operands, that's going to be one of the important rules. And then the second rules are what are the various operators that we have, um, uh, the corresponding symbols, whatever the symbols that we have to use for each and every operator, so that to be used very properly. And then uh, so these are some of the rules that we have related to compute verb. And then with some examples we have discussed about this particular compute verb. Okay, move to next slide, ma. So that's it. So with this we are completing this particular topic. um so okay, if you have any doubts you could ask me now, or else we could proceed to the next topic. The next topic, which is going to be data movement verb. So the next topic is data movement verb. That's going to be the next topic. Muthu, kindly open the presentation, man. The next topic, data movement verb. But before proceeding to the next topic, suppose if you have any doubts, you could ask me now. So related to arithmetic verb and related to compute verb. So these two verbs are very very important, because in COBOL programs normally we used to use these verbs, arithmetic verbs and compute verbs. Suppose we have any doubts in using this compute verb or using in these arithmetic verbs, these four arithmetic verbs, you could ask me now. Suppose if you don't have any doubts, type 1 in the chat box. If you have any doubts, you could ask me. If no doubts, type 1 in your chat box. Okay. So if you have any doubts, you could ask me now, or else if you don't have any doubts, type 1 in the chat box. So Nitish have responded and Kanya have responded. And then Malavika and Surya. Okay. So I would like to move to now I would like to, and then Harinath and Sweta. Okay. So okay, now I would like to move to the next topic. The next topic is data movement verb. So this particular topic, which seems to be an very very important one. Okay. So data movement verb, we just work similar to your editing. So in editing, we used to what we used to perform. So you will have some two picture classes, and then we used to separate it by using two columns, and then we used to check for what is the value that we have before editing, and then what is the value that we have after editing. So similarly here we used to have those tables, and what is the value that we have before using the move verb, and what is the value that we have after using the move verb. So this particular move verb, we used to call it as a move, MOVE, move verb. So this particular move verb, which is used to move the data, or which is used to move the value from one identifier to another identifier. Okay, so to move the value from one identifier to another identifier, we are using this particular data movement verb. Move to next slide, ma. Move to next slide. So we have some aim on this particular lesson, so to have some introduction to the learner as how we have to move the data from one place to another place in memory. So each and every identifier which is going to have some separate memory places. For example, suppose we have to move the value of B to the A. So B, which consists of the value 2, now I'm going to move this value 2 to the identifier A. Okay, and then this A, which is going to have separate memory location, and B, which is going to have separate memory location. So we are referring those memory location as what places actually. Okay, So we are going to move the value from one identifier to another identifier. Each and every identifier, they are going to have some separate memory location with it. Okay. So with the help of move up, we are going to move those values from one identifier to another identifier. Mm, Next slide, move to next slide. So this is going to be the general syntax or the general form that we have related to move up, move to identifier 2 or identifier 3 comma literal 1. So using this move to verb, we are going to move the value between identifiers or from one identifiers to another identifiers. So this is going to be general form. The identifier which refers to the data name whatever that you're going to use within a particular statement. Okay, literal in the sense it may be in constant value. Any constant value that you're going to use, those constant value which has been referred here as literal. Move to next slide, ma. Move to next slide. And we have some rules while using data movement verb. So the first rule is the contents of identifier 1 and the value of literal 1 is moved to identifier 2 or identifier 3. We actually are going to contents here which refers to what actually the value. So whatever the value the identifier have, that particular value will be moved from one identifier to what another identifier. Here the important thing that to be noted here is we may have more than one receiving field. Okay, so you will have only one sending field, but you may have more than one receiving field. So that is very important here. So you must know what is meant by sending field and receiving field. For example, now we have two identifier A and identifier B, and then now we are going to now identifier A which is going to have the value 10 and identifier B which doesn't have any value. Now we are going to send the value 10 from A to B. Okay, from identifier A we are going to send the value, or we are going to move the value to the identifier B. Now the sending field is A and the receiving field is what? B. Okay, sending field is A and receiving field is B. Similarly, sometimes you will have more number of receiving field where you will have only one sending field, but you will have more number of receiving field. Okay, so that's going to be one of the important rule here, where you may have the more than one receiving field, where there must be only one sending field. Okay, and then whenever you're going to do this, the contents of all the receiving field which is going to have the same value of sending field. So that's very important. So for example, from A you're going to move the value to B, C and D. Now the value of A is 10. Before movement the value of A is 10, and after using the data movement verb, the value of B, C and D, all these three identifier which is going to have the value is going to be 10, because the B, C and D which is going to be receiving field, all these things which used to receive the same value from the identifier A. Okay, so all the receiving fields will be replaced by the value of the sending field. So that's the thing here. Whereas the value of identifier 1 or the value of sending field will be remain unaltered. So there won't be any changes in the sending field value, but the receiving field value alone will be changing over here. So this is very important rule. And the first rule is what you may have more than one receiving field. And second rule is the sending field value won't change, where the receiving field value will change. Okay, move to next slide, ma. We have some more rules that to be discussed over here. So when the sending field is an numeric one and the receiving field as an numeric one, okay, we used to call this particular type of transfer as numeric data transfer. So make a note, the first important rule we used to call it as numeric data transfer. So in numeric data transfer, what we used to perform, where the sending field and the receiving field which is going to have the same value, the value which is going to be what, numeric value. Okay, and this particular type of data transfer we used to call it as a numeric data transfer. And then based on the decimal points whatever that you're going to use, automatically the values will be aligned So the decimal point is which is going to be an assumed one and which is going to be assigned as such. Um, so so here this is going to be very an important one here. um, Suppose you are going to send some value from sending field to receiving field. Okay, now suppose if the sending field which is going to have a 4-digit position, and if the receiving field which is going to have some 2-digit position, then it won't be problem. Okay, so for the remaining position, either we are going to zero fill or we are going to leave it blank. Okay, so the sending field which is going to have some 4-digit position and receiving field which is going to be have a 2-digit position, it won't be a problem. Suppose if the sending field which is going to have some 2-digit position, and whereas the receiving field which is going to have some what 4-digit position, here what will happen? So that's going to be the question over here. So depends upon the size of the sending field and receiving field, the problems may occur, and depends upon that it used to your compiler, it used to take some actions like zero fill or zero fill at right or zero fill at left, or else truncation may happen. Truncation in the sense deleting of some of the positions in the values, we used to call it as in truncation. So either you have two options, either it will be blank filled or zero filled, or else it used to truncate the value. So these are the two options that we used to do while the sending field and receiving field size is mismatching over there. Okay, so once again I would like to explain. So sending field which consists of some 4-digit position, and the receiving field, suppose if it is going to have just 2-digit position, then what will happen? The receiving field, it used to occupy only the leftmost 2-digit, and then the rightmost 2-digit will be truncated actually. Okay, suppose if the receiving field size which is going to be an lesser one, or which is going to be some smaller one comparing to the sending field, automatically the truncation will happen over there. Suppose the sending field which is going to be an smallest one, and suppose if the receiving field which is going to be an largest one, and it won't be problem over there. Simply it used to receive the value and it used to occupy, and for those remaining positions the blank spaces will be filled. So that's going to be the important problem that we have over here. So that's what they are describing over here. If the receiving field is not large enough to hold the data received, then truncation can uh, takes place at either or depending on the integral part or fractional part. Okay, so that's going to be one of the important problems. So there will be some truncation over there. Okay, so on the other hand, suppose if the receiving field is larger than the sending field, then what will happen? That's going to be a question. So suppose if the receiving field is a larger one, it won't be a problem. There will be some zero fill in the sense the remaining digit position will be filled with some zero values. So it will be take place in the unused position to cube to have the numeric value unaltered. So to have that numeric value without any changes, for the remaining position zero will get filled. Okay, so so depends upon the sending field and receiving field sizes. We have two options. The two options are either it used to truncate or else it used to zero fill. So zero fill will happen when the receiving field size is which is going to be an which is going to be high, and the size which is going to be an highest one. Whereas suppose if the receiving field which is going to be the size which is going to be a lowest one, then there surely you will have what, you will have truncation over there. So that's going to be very important point here. Move to next slide please. And then you have one more rule. So this is going to be the another rule that we have, and both the sending field and receiving fields are alphabetic or alphanumeric or alphanumeric edited, and these types of data transfer we used to call it as an alphanumeric data transfer. So then in the previous rule we were discussed about what numeric data transfer. Here in this slide we are discussing about alphanumeric data transfer. So you will have the combinations of both alphabet and numbers. So suppose you are going to have combinations of alphabets and then numbers, we used to call this particular data transfer as alphanumeric data transfer. So in this particular case, suppose if the receiving area field, suppose in this particular case, suppose if the receiving field, um, receiving area is filled from left to right. So here we are going to fill from um, left to right, we are going to fill it, okay. And then the space fill occurs to the right if the receiving area is larger. So you will have some blank spaces at the right, okay. So whenever that you're going to receive the value, and then you're going to align it from left to right. And suppose if you don't have values, sufficient value, and you will have some what, you will have some space fill at the rightmost end. So at the rightmost end you will have some space fill in the sense, blank spaces will be over there. um, Suppose if the receiving area is smaller, then what will happen? Automatically the truncation will occurs at the right end, so from the right, and then the compiler may give some warning over there. So you have two options over here similar to the previous one. Suppose if the receiving field which seems to be an larger one, then it won't be problem. So at the rightmost end you will have some phase fill. Suppose if the receiving field which is going to be in smallest one, then what will happen? Then you will have some truncation at the rightmost end. So this is going to be an important rule. Move to next slide, please. Move to next slide, ma. So it is important that what both the sending and receiving field should belong to the same category. So that is going to be an important point here. And then it is necessary to transfer data to a field having different category. So it can be, sometimes it may be some group items also, which is not going to be an individual identifier. Sometimes the receiving field which used to works like an group items. So at those times, how it used to work, that's going to be an important thing over here. um, so so you have things like initializing and record area by spaces. Record area which refers to actually files. So suppose you have some files and you have records over there, that will be filled by some spaces. So you have some example over here. The statement move spaces to record area. So this is going to space fill the entire area denoted by the group name REC area. Okay. So group data item in the sense, to specify a particular file data values, we used to use more than one data items, data names. So at those times, sometimes suppose you're going to use such a statement like move spaces to record area. So whatever the records that you have over there in that particular file, all those record will be filled with spaces, okay. So these types of movement we used to call it as an group item, or group item movements, okay. Then move to next slide, ma. Move to next slide. And okay, so these are some important examples. So with these examples you people will understand these concepts. So basically what we are using move verb over here, data movement verb, and then here we're using what, move. So this purpose of this move verb is moving value from one identifier to another identifier. We are using this move. Basically for assignment purposes we used to use this move verb. And then here you have some two types of data transfer. The first one which is going to be about numeric data transfer, and second one which is going to be about alphanumeric data transfer. And then in both these numeric transfer, data transfer, and alphanumeric data transfer depends upon the receiving field and sending field. There is two option. The first option, it is going to be about zero fill, and second option which is going to be about truncation. So those things are very important. And then and finally you have the group data item, movement to an group data item. So by using files we used to use those group data item movements. So those things we used to use rarely. And then coming to example here, this is going to be the first example. Move capital A to capital B. Now the capital A, which is going to have some value, we are going to move that particular value to where? Capital B. So here we have two columns actually, before execution and after execution. So you have two things, two columns. In these two columns, further we are dividing it as before and after. So for the first picture class you have before and after, and for the second picture class you have before and after. Now the picture class for capital A, which is going to be PIC 49, and for the picture class for capital B, which is going to be PIC 49. So both these sending field and receiving field, which is going to be a similar one, there is no any changes in the picture field, size of the picture field, so it won't be a problem. But see here, before sending the value, the identifier A, which is going to have the value 5678. Okay, so before and after the execution of the move verb, the value of identifier A, which is not changed, the value will be what? 5678. So which is going to have some 4-digit position over there. And then the value of B. So what is the value that we are moving? We are moving the value 5678, 5678 to the identifier B. Now what is happening over here? Before execution, the value of B, which is going to be 1 2 3 4. Okay, before using the move verb, the value of B is 1 2 3 4, and after using the move verb, the value of B will be changed to 5 6 7 8. Okay, so this is about before execution and then after execution. So for both the columns, for identifier A you have before execution and after execution. For identifier B also you will have what? Before execution and after execution. You have one more examples. See here, for identifier A you have picture class with 999, and for receiving field you have picture class with 4 nines. Okay, now we are going to send the value, the value which is going to be 567. This is going to be the sending value to the identifier B. So generally what will happen, so we are going to fill it from right to left. So from rightmost position to leftmost position we are going to fill. So we are going to fill the 567, and to the leftmost 9 you don't have any value, so that will be filled with 0. So these types of filling we used to call it as a zero fill. Okay, before execution, the B, which is going to have the value 1 2 3 4, but after execution of this particular move A to B, the value of capital B will change to 0 5 6 7, because just we are sending some 3-digit value to the identifier B. In B we are going to have some 4-digit position, 4 nines over there. To the leftmost 9 we doesn't have any value, so the leftmost 9, instead of the value for leftmost 9 we are filling it with what? 0. Okay, now I would like to ask some questions to you people. Now I'm going to use the same example, move capital A to capital B. Okay, now the picture class for capital A is PIC 999, and then for picture class for capital B is PIC 99. Now I am sending the value 27 from capital A to capital B. Okay, I am sending the value 27 from capital A to capital B. Okay, now what will happen? This is going to be the question. So the same example, move A to B, where the picture class for A is 999, where the picture class for B is 99. Now I am going to send the value from A to B is 27. Now the identifier A, which is going to have the value 27. Now I am going to change, I'm going to move this value to the identifier B, this 27, its value to identifier B, where the picture class of B, which is going to have a 2-digit position, just it's going to have 2 nines over there. Now what will happen? Now what will be the value of the identifier B? So post your answers in the chat box, ma. So what will be the value of identifier P? Here I am not asking about before execution or after execution, but simply we are going to move the value 27 from identifier A to B, where identifier A, which is going to have 3 positions, 3 9 positions, okay, 3-digit positions, where in capital B you have just 2 digit positions. This is actually numeric data transfer. So from the identifier A, we are going to send the value 27 to identifier B. So before execution, the identifier B doesn't have any value, but after execution of this data movement verb, what will be the value of identifier B? So type your answers in chat box. Make it fast, ma. So this is going to be actually a simple question. So what is going to be the answer? So post your answers in chat box. Make it fast, ma. Kanya. Hello, Kanya. Kanya, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So what will be the answer, ma? So now we are moving value 27 from identifier A to identifier B. Now what will be the value of identifier B? Would you people able to understand these examples that we have in this slide?
Sir, Purilang, sir.
Okay, it's very simple, man. There is nothing more over here. We have what the first example is moving the value A to B. So that's the thing that we are going to do over here. It is very simple. So here we have picture classes. For A you have separate picture classes, and for B you have separate picture classes. For A the picture class is 4 9, so you have 4-digit position. For B you have picture classes which is going to be with what 4 9 positions. So to the maximum we would be able to process some 4-digit value. Okay, so that's the thing over here. So from the A which is going to have the value what 5678 5678. Now we are passing this particular value A to the identifier B. Okay, and now after using this data movement verb, the identifier B which is going to have the value 5678, because both A and B which is going to have the same picture class with some 4 9 positions. Okay, so here which is going to give the same results. So both A and B which is going to have the same value 5678. Okay, so now is it possible for you people to understand the first example? uh, is it okay now, the first example? So in both A and B which is going to have the same picture class what 4 9s. Okay, from A we are going to send the value to B. Now the value of A is what 5678. After sending the value, the B which is going to have the value 5678. Okay, but here we are dividing into what two parts, as before execution and after execution. Maybe that may be a little bit confusion to you people, but these things are very very simple thing. There is nothing more to think about these data movement verb. Simply we are going to move a particular value from one identifier to another identifier, but before execution that particular identifier may have some other value, but after execution whatever the value that we are moving from one identifier to another identifier, that value will be there in the receiving field. So here the sending field is A and the receiving field is B. So from the sending field we are going to send the value is 5678 to the identifier B, the identifier B which is going to be the receiving field. And after sending the value, the receiving field B which is going to have the value which is going to be the same value, which is 5678. But before execution the value will be 1 2 3 4, but after execution the value of B which will be changed to 5678. So this is going to be the first and simplest example that we have related to move verb. We have some more examples in the upcoming classes. In the next classes, I will discuss you with those examples. Okay. Um, so is this clear now? Is this first example clear for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so already it's time up. So with this, I would like to stop the presentation. So once again, I will explain the same example in the next classes. Okay. So okay. Thank you, ma. So thank you for listening patiently. Thank you.